Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Net at Work's live webinar, where we will be formulating a future-proof chemical enterprise with the transformative power of next-gen ERP Sage X3. Quick introduction. My name is Dev Rawat, and I am a solutions engineer, North America for Sage X3 at Net at Work. A couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. The presentation will be about 45 minutes long. All phone lines will remain muted. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to type them in the questions box located at the bottom of your webinar panel. Key points to cover. We've been doing this for 25 years and we have over 250, close to 300 technical and business experts with deep knowledge in a host of products and industries so that we are here for you no matter what your technology needs are. This is why we continue to grow and receive awards for who we are and what we accomplish for our customers. We got our start in accounting and ERP software, but as you can see, we provide a broad portfolio of solutions, including a number of leading ERP solutions and a host of other core business applications. We have experience with almost every technology related to ERP and Sage X3, including customer relationship management, e-commerce, and human resources. And of course, we take care of all the hosting and integration needs. Sage is our largest and most strategic partner, the publisher of Sage X3, the ERP system we will be talking about today. Before we go on to the product specifically, let's talk a little bit about what makes a next generation ERP system, no matter which one you consider. Now, Sage X3 is what we call a next gen ERP. If you're reading any of the analyst papers from thought leaders like Gartner, you may also hear terms like fourth era ERP or digital operating platforms. All of these terms refer to the high level benefits that these systems offer, as highlighted on this slide. A next generation ERP extends the application's functionality outside the enterprise into a wider ecosystem that can include customers and suppliers, partners, competitors, and stakeholders. We'll give everyone these slides after the presentation, so I won't read through it, but you can see the emphasis on workflows, flexibility, scalability, and business intelligence. It's about using industry tools to add automation and provide access to the data you need in order to make smart and fast business decisions. Let's talk about some of the key features that Sage X3 offers to manage your chemical business. Lot tracking and traceability. So forward and reverse lot traceability for any item, whether it's a raw material, an ingredient, or a finished good, with automated recall capabilities throughout. Integrated quality control management to ensure the quality of raw materials to finished goods and everything in between. Recipe and formula management for strict control and proper recipe use, all in real time. We also have a big focus on regulatory compliance and reporting throughout the platform. So SDS management, generating a C of A, CAS number management, bill of ladings. We did mention QC already. We'll help you meet all your regulatory requirements, maintain that audit trail, and give you document and product traceability. From a supply chain optimization standpoint, we do leverage an MRP tool that will help you automate your planning processes. All of these functions in one software, in one database, having one version of the truth. With that said, let's jump into our live demonstration. Now, the first screen that we see upon logging into Sage X3 is a landing page. On your screen, what you're seeing right now is a landing page that is meant for the purchasing team. These landing pages are user dependent and role dependent. So what users have access to, what they have access to view, what they have access to edit depends on an end user and which user has logged in. These landing pages are also personalizable at an end user basis. So you will notice for the purchasing landing page, I have some purchasing functions that I use on a day-to-day basis that are relevant for me, which is why I have added these functions here. When I jump into my manufacturing landing page, you will notice manufacturing functions uh, that are relevant for my manufacturing team. Back on the purchasing landing page, so as I mentioned, we have the functions that are relevant for our purchasing team. These can be personalized to an end user level as well. What that means is if I have another purchasing team member who simply runs purchase orders all day, we can eliminate all these other functions from their landing page and have a simple one click, one button present on their screen so that when they log in, they have easy access to that one button and the system is easy for them to use. My purchasing team also leverages this calendar that displays all the purchase orders that are expected to be received in a calendar format. Again, this is one way that they have chosen to represent data on their landing page, multiple different ways of how you can add data and information on your landing page. So we have functions over here to start with, some added information about orders we're going to receive. Another way to navigate a landing page is by leveraging a visual process flow. As you can see, we have a visual process flow that summarizes the purchasing activities in my organization. Again, this is just another method of configuring a landing page. As I said, these are personalizable. The next tab on my landing page is the issues and alerts tab. I like calling this the red flag tab. And the reason I call it the red flag tab is because this is calling out the transactions that are falling through the track. So all the transactions that are falling through the cracks that are not on path are being called out on the screen. As an example, I have late purchase orders mentioned here. So all the purchase orders that are delayed, where the supplier shipment is delayed, are being called out over here. So now my purchasing team can jump into any of these purchase orders, investigate the details, call up the supplier, and plan accordingly. Like I have called out orders not invoiced, I am also calling out, like I've called out late orders, I've also called out orders not invoiced, as you can see here. Now these tables are personalizable. So if I need to add in a supplier part number on this table, I can add that. If I need to subtract certain fields from this report, I can do that. The idea is you can personalize these reports and tailor them to your specific needs. Sage X3 comes with about 300 out of the box reports. So these reports can be leveraged from day one by your team. The idea is we will give you these reports from day one and then you will maneuver them and personalize them to your specific needs. Sage X3 is also compatible with the entire Microsoft Office toolkit. So what that means is Microsoft PowerPoint compatibility, Outlook compatibility, Excel integration, all of it is possible with Sage X3. This is a table that I am seeing in X3. I can simply click a couple of buttons and what that will do is generate an Excel spreadsheet that then gives me all of that X3 information in a live up-to-date spreadsheet where now I can leverage Excel capabilities to further analyze this data with my team. Now I ran an export from Sage X3 and imported that data into Excel. I can do it the other way around as well. If I do have certain information in an Excel spreadsheet, which I want to incorporate into Sage X3, I can absolutely make those updates leveraging that Excel template as well. You will notice that this Excel spreadsheet is also hyperlinked. So what that means is I can simply click on any of these buttons, and what that is going to do is it's going to take me onto Sage X3, onto the platform, and show me that specific sales order number, where I can then investigate the details and carry out whatever action is necessary. What's also really cool about this Excel integration is that once I have run the export from X3 into Excel, I don't need to rerun the export. I can simply hit the refresh button on this Excel spreadsheet. And what that would do is it would update this table, give me live up-to-date information based on live information within the platform. So even if I open the spreadsheet 1 week later for a weekly meeting, I can simply open the spreadsheet 1 week later, hit the refresh button, and it's going to fetch live data for me, which I can then analyze and discuss with my team. Back into landing pages and navigating X3. The next tab I do want to call out is my key performance indicator tab. Now this is my KPI tab that is targeted towards my key performance indicators for my purchasing team. As an example, you will notice we have a delivery performance stat here, a quality control stat here, a cost efficiency stat here. Again, these are examples. You can define what your KPIs are and have your own KPIs present in this format. You will also notice that we have an automated supplier or vendor scorecard that is getting populated based on every transaction that is getting entered into the system. So every time that there is a transaction that's input into the system, this table down here is getting auto updated and giving you live information. I can further slice and dice this data from this landing page itself. As an example, if I want to filter out data, let's say from my German and my Spanish suppliers, I can simply eliminate those two filters, and you will notice in the background, all the information has now updated based on those new filters that we applied. So again, just an example of how we can apply filters on your data. You can identify what your KPIs are for each of the departments and have that present on your landing page itself. Now, again, we went through a landing page from a purchasing standpoint, but again, you get the idea. These landing pages are unique and personalized for each of the functions present. So for sales, for warehouse management, manufacturing, finance, and so on, each of these teams have their own landing page that can be personalized to their needs. The next thing I want to highlight is our electronic signature and our workflow tool. Now, I have configured our purchase orders to go through signature management and approval every time there is a purchase order that is generated. So what that means is every time there is a PO that is generated, I have input an approval step, which requires the purchasing manager's signature approval before my team can go ahead and receive product. So again, that is an example of how we have deployed electronic signatures with purchasing, but you can deploy electronic signatures and that approval step, that approval layer at any transaction that is needed, whether it's on sales orders, on purchase orders, on work orders, on invoices. You get to define where you want to deploy electronic signatures, and we can deploy it. And from a workflow standpoint, we've also configured a workflow in the system that generates an email notification and an alert every time a purchase order is generated. So every time a PO is generated, my purchasing manager gets an email alert and a notification in their inbox saying, hey, Mr. Manager, purchase order number so and so has been generated. You need to go ahead and sign it, review it, and sign it so that the team can go out and receive it. I can also add conditions to this approval process. So what that means is I can tell the system that only ask for a signature if the purchase order value exceeds $1,000. If it's less than $1,000, automatically sign it and approve it. Only if it exceeds $1,000 do I need a signature from the purchasing manager. You can also add another layer to this. So what that means is you can also say, hey, you know what? If it exceeds $10,000, we want not only the purchasing manager signature, we also want the CFO signature now in order to approve this purchase order. So now, based on that $50,000 threshold, we need two signatures and not one. So you can identify rules to create around that signature management approval process. So from a navigation standpoint, as I mentioned, Sage X3 is a browser-based software. So I am using Google Chrome to access the platform, but you can use Safari, Firefox, whatever your browser of choice is, can be leveraged to access Sage X3. As long as you have access to the internet, as long as you're using a Windows compatible device or an Apple compatible device, whether it's an iPad or a tablet or a cell phone, you can access Sage X3 and carry out transactions, view information. So from an access standpoint, from a navigation standpoint, we are navigating the software based on landing pages. These landing pages are accessible As soon as we log into X3, the first screen that we would see is a landing page. And think of a large drawing board that displays all the information that you need that is relevant to you, and we can add that on your landing page. This is just an example of how we have configured the landing page for today's demonstration. All right, with that said, let's jump into product data and master data configuration. So a quick note on the product master. Now this product master, let's explain the screen here. We have the left list, the center panel, and the right panel. The left list gives us a list of all the different products, all the different SKUs that are part of the system. So all the different SKUs in the system, typically we'd have hundreds, if not thousands of SKUs. But for the sake of today's demonstration, you'll notice we have configured these products. The center panel gives you information related to this product. So right now, as I said, I am in the product master, which gives me a 360-degree view of this product. So all the information pertaining to this product will be displayed on the center panel. If I change my selection on the left list, you will notice the information displayed in the center panel will update automatically. Going back to our axle grease 55-gallon drum, as you can see, on my right panel, I also have a connected workspace. This connected workspace, as you can see, gives me access to its SDS history, any quotations associated with it, any orders. So again, just some jump to functionality that you can jump to with regards to this product. So right now, all the information that we are going to be talking about is pertaining to this product. Further on my right panel, I want to highlight this paperclip. This paperclip essentially lets me add attachments on any X3 screen. So what that means is any transaction, any document that needs attachments, we do allow attachments to be added using this paperclip button. I have added a COA sample as an example for this product, but you can add in a video file, a PDF file, an image. As long as it's an electronic file, you can add that as an attachment within X3. And as I said, this attachment right now is added to this product, but attachments and comments, like you are going to see in just a second here, these are available for your team on all other transaction screens as well. So any additional comments, any additional notes that I need to share with my team can be added in here. Statistic groups. So every product, you can tie down statistic groups as well. What that means is you will notice I have identified this product as being a chemical product, as being a lubricant product, and as being a grease product. So at the end of the year, if my finance team needs to run a report and say, hey, can you tell me all the sales that we have done for lubricants? The system is going to go out and look at this specific grouping category, consolidate data, and give me information with regards to lubricant sales. I have added in 5 statistic groups for reporting purposes, but you can go up to 9 statistic groups that you can leverage for reporting purposes. Further down on my product master, so we're still dealing with the axle grease 55-gallon drum. You will notice that I am making this a stock managed product. It also has lot management turned on. If you are working with expiration, there is an option as well where we can have expiration dates and recontrol dates set within the product and managed at a product to product basis. The next thing we'd like to highlight is our units of measure. We can have and configure as many units of measures as needed within the system. So whether you're converting from eaches to drums, if you're converting from liquids to solids or vice versa, we can absolutely do that. If you're purchasing in one unit of measure, stocking it in a different unit of measure, and selling it in a third different unit of measure, we can absolutely configure that as well. So we can have as many units of measures as needed within the system. We can also tie in customer specific and supplier specific information. What that means is you will notice over here, we are tracking customer specific product ID, customer specific description. If the customer has their specific packaging rules or sales, if they have their own sales unit of measure, you can configure that as well. Now, this is for finished goods. The same thing applies for purchased products. on the purchasing side. So you can have supplier specific, as you can see, for purchase products, you can have supplier specific product codes, product descriptions, quality control rules, and units of measure if that is a requirement. Now, on the regulatory front for our chemical organizations, we have noticed, so let's go back on our Axle Grease. You will notice that we are tracking a bunch of properties from a chemical standpoint. So over here, you will notice that based on my ingredients, the system has identified the chemicals involved, SDS exposure controls. What are the properties we are tracking? We can add in as many properties that we want to track within the product. From a GHS label standpoint, all the compliance requirements are catered to within this product master as well, as you can see on your screen. You can track PPF requirements and PPE requirements, sorry, for your products as well. So all of those are highlighted if they need to be printed on any of those labels. And then further down from a regulatory and an SDS standpoint, we have the ability to not only generate SDSs, but also add in SDSs, as many SDSs as we want. And you will notice I have two different SDS sheets for this document, but I have kept one as active. So my team knows which one is the active one and which one needs to be leveraged when they are delivering product, when this product is actually going to be transported. So we're tracking all of this information at a product to product level, at a product basis. So what that does is it drives functionality across all other modules based on the configuration on this product master. And again, we do also have a master CAS library that is present within the system. I did forget to mention that. We do have a master CAS library, a CAS library that's integrated with the Lali database that can be leveraged for your system. All right. The next thing we want to talk about is supply chain optimization. And I'm going to lean on this visual process flow to describe and summarize supply chain processes within Sage X3. Now, Sage X3 is a demand-based system, and what our MRP tool does now, the MRP tool is what we leverage to manage our supply chain processes. Everything with our MRP tool begins on the sales side. So, on my sales side, if you follow along, we do have the ability to enter either sales orders or a sales forecast, which will generate demand for our system. Sage X3 is a demand-based system, so it will leverage that demand for planning. What our MRP tool is then going to do, it's going to look at existing purchase orders. So it's going to compare that demand and supply. What are we looking at in terms of supply? For the purchasing side, it will look at the raw materials, the ingredients that we are going to purchase. So it will look at that supply. From a manufacturing standpoint, it will look at what is the quantity of finished goods we have on hand, what do we need to manufacture more in terms of meeting those requirements. So it will compare, it will create that analysis of demand versus supply, the MRP tool. Based on that, it is going to give me purchasing suggestions and manufacturing suggestions, which we'll talk about in just a second here. So with that said, we have assumed that we have sales orders into the system already. So the next step would be to go in to my buyer's workbench, which will give me a consolidated view of all the purchasing requirements in the system. So now I am on my buyer's workbench. This is a screen that is available for my buyer for them to consolidate and view requirements and generate purchase orders with all the data calculated automatically. You will notice this requirement list right now is blank. When I hit search, it's going to populate that table and show me that, hey, these are the 5 purchase orders that we need to generate. So now it's giving me a list of all the purchase orders that need to be generated with product specific details. You will notice that the dates are auto-populated based on requirements. So the system is a pull system. With regards, as an example, the 2-gallon gas can body would particularly be required for a manufacturing work order, which is scheduled, which is why it's asking you to raise that work order. It's asking you to raise that purchase order. So these purchasing requirements basically help you meet those sales demands or those manufacturing demands whatever the needs are for whatever the root cause is of that purchase requirement. If I want to look at my purchasing requirements, let's say if I only want to look at it for labels, and now what I can do is I can simply filter out all the other products and put my label products. So now after inputting this product range, you will notice that this table will auto update and show me requirements based on this product range that I have identified. So I've identified this product range. So let's assume that if I am purchasing only labels for my organization, or if I'm purchasing only packaging components, I would typically filter it with that product range and then display my purchasing requirements. If I want to filter by product category, if I want to filter by a supplier, or if I want to filter by date, I get to define how I want to display information for purchasing based on my filters that I have applied in my criteria. I will then view consolidated purchasing information. Let's say I do not want to order labels right now. I can simply uncheck that one line. If I want to update quantities, I can come in here. I'll say, hey, you know what? I don't need 5,000 of these. I need 10,000. I will make the updates. If I need to split a specific order between two suppliers, I can split that in here as well. And then once I have carried out all the adjustments that I want to, I can simply hit that generate button. And what that would do is not only generate purchase orders that will be sent out to my suppliers, it is also going to email a PDF document with these purchase orders to my suppliers because I have configured a workflow to that regard. So from an automation standpoint, on the purchasing side, my MRP tool is consolidating all my manufacturing requirements from a purchasing angle, all my distribution requirements from the purchasing side, consolidating that information on this MRP screen, and then I can leverage this MRP screen to generate purchase orders. I can also generate ad hoc purchase orders as a one-off basis directly from the purchase order screen as well. So multiple different ways. And again, from an automation standpoint, the dates, the lead times, the quantities, all of that is fed in and auto-calculated, automating that entire process for you. From a pricing standpoint, we do have the ability to configure as many price lists as needed within the system. So what that means is, let's look at a price list on the sales side real quick. So now when I look at this specific price list, you will notice this is an example of a price list. Multiple different ways to configure price list. This is one example. In this price list, you will notice we have quantity breaks, we have discounts, we also have a customer quantity combination. So we could have one product and different prices based on who the customer is. You could also have one product, one customer, and a different price based on the quantity. So this is an example of how we have configured our price list. This price list is also does end at the end of April because I want new pricing rules to kick in on the 1st of May. This is an example. You can deploy pricing as needed as per your business rules based on discounts, rebates, or whatever other pricing rules your organization may have. We are displaying pricing on the sales side, but the same exact logic would apply for pricing on the purchasing side as well. You will notice a lot of functions are standardized in X3. We did go to the product master, which was a screen. All the other screens will look similar as well. Now that's again, from an end user ease of use standpoint, we have standardized the screens so that once an end user is trained on one particular screen, it's easy to adopt to the other screens as well. So let's go back on that visual process flow. So as I mentioned, our MRP engine fed in information to the buyer's workbench, which gave us information as to what purchase orders need to be created. The same MRP engine is now trickling information into my planner's workbench for my manufacturing folks now for product that needs to be manufactured. So now in this case, when I go to my planner's workbench, in the same process, when I click search, it's going to give me all the existing work orders pertaining to the products that I have input in that range. And now it's going to tell me any other transactions that I need to carry out on these work orders. So it's telling me I have two different work orders. We have one firm work order, which is already created, and this is a suggested work order. So this is a work order that needs to be initiated. So I can generate work orders from this screen as well. And again, like we said on the purchasing screen, the system is aware of what your manufacturing lead time is. The system is aware of what your raw material component availability is. So let's say if you require 5 different ingredients to manufacture this 55-gallon drum, the system will only add that on your MRP date based on those 5 ingredients being available. So it's factoring those in. It's also factoring in existing machine capacity. So all of that information is fed in. After accounting for all those factors, the system is giving you and scheduling that work order for you in a way to meet that sales order demand and that manufacturing requirement. Again, we can filter this information as needed. I only put in my grease products to filter for, but you will notice if I hit search now, it's going to show me all the other products that have work orders up to this specific date as well. This is one way of reviewing requirements. I can review work order adjustments and requirements based on any criteria that I have. Again, this screen helps me consolidate all my actions that need to be carried out by my manufacturing team, by my manufacturing manager. So now that I have generated my work orders in the system, again, we do have full MES and shop floor capabilities as well. So in terms of labor tracking, machine tracking, tracking overhead costs, all of that is possible. We cannot go into the details in the essence of time for today's demo, but I did want to highlight that we do have the ability for tracking each of those costs and reporting those individually when consumed as well. That's one option, or you can also backflush them at the end of that work order cycle, whatever your business process requires you to do. So now I created my work orders. We do have the ability to generate all my work order documents from the system as well. So whether you're calling it a batch order or a batch ticket or a job order or a work order, it's all the same term that we are referring to. Now, once you generate your work order or your batch ticket or your job ticket, the next thing is printing out your pick ticket, your pick slip, your work order document, and sharing that with your shop floor team so that they can go out and carry out all those production activities. So now my team does have the ability to report production, report labor time consumed, report machine time consumed. After my team has completed reporting those transactions within the system, my manufacturing manager will next come into my VIP cost inquiry and investigate the details of that specific work order. And now for that specific work order, you will notice I have an actual cost and an expected cost. I have deployed standard costing in our organization, but you can deploy average lot cost, weighted average cost, whatever your costing method is can be deployed as well. So from a standard costing standpoint, I have highlighted what my expected costs are, what my actual costs are for each of these different departments. You will notice this is also broken down by material, by labor, by machine, by subcontract, by overhead. If I need to further analyze this data, I can go into the details and investigate, okay, why is material cost so high? And then I can investigate line by line. Same thing for labor, same thing for machine. So it really gives you a microscopic view into each work order, which will help you from a cost efficiency standpoint as well. Once we are done, so from a planning standpoint, we have from a costing standpoint, we generated our work orders using our MRP tool. Again, we do also have the ability to generate an ad hoc work order if we need to. If we don't want to leverage MRP, we can generate an ad hoc work order, print work order documents. Once we've printed those work order documents, report production activities, report your labor costs, machine costs, and then analyze those for effectiveness and for efficiency. The next thing I want to jump in is into quality control. we have configured our products to run into quality control as well. So right now we just completed our manufacturing cycle. So we have configured our finished goods to go through quality control. Three different scenarios by which my system will undergo quality control, as you can see on this visual process flow. Number one scenario is when we receive any ingredients, when we receive any raw materials. I have told the system which products undergo quality control versus which products do not undergo quality control. The next step is after production has been completed. So at the end of production, when my finished good is completed, before I deliver product to my customer, I want it to undergo quality control. And the last scenario of quality control is in process of production. So when your manufacturing process is being carried out, if you're moving from one step, let's say if you're moving from step 2 to step 3 of that manufacturing cycle, you can also input a quality control step. So you get to define under which of these three scenarios, I'm sorry, so you get to define under which of these three scenarios do you want to deploy quality control, and we can absolutely do that. Now, what does quality control entail? Let's jump into this quality control room, which is my inspection room. This room basically acts as a gatekeeper for all the products that require quality control. Before these products do not undergo quality control, my team will not be able to consume this product. Right now, I am looking at a quality control record for the axle grease products. You will notice again, we have a left list, a center panel, and a right panel. This is the product we have received, as you can see, which is the axle grease product. We have received 3,500 drums from a production declaration. So my production team has declared that they produce 3,500 pails. So, sorry, these are 35-pound pails. These are not drums. So 3,500 pails that they have manufactured. We need to undergo quality control before it can be delivered. So again, this is an example of quality control with manufacturing. The same example would apply on the purchasing side or in the process of manufacturing. The next step is my quality control team requires me to input and answer a bunch of questions based on the quality requirements for this product. So it's asking me, number one, to input a pH value. So all right, it's defaulted it into 7, but let's say I actually observed 8, so I will change that to 8. It's asking me what's the viscosity as well. I'll keep it at 6. Again, the idea is over here, I get to define what questions I am asking. I get to define what answers I am receiving as well. So if I try typing words here, alphabets, the system is not going to allow me to type in those alphabets because that's a value that's not permitted from a standardization perspective. Over here, you will notice a magnifying glass. Same way, if I try typing in a random value, it will say that the answer must be from a list of authorized values, which I can only access by looking at this magnifying glass. And I will say, all right, I have observed it to be blue. The next thing is, have we completed an SDS? Yes, we have. And then free text comments. I can type in free text comments over here for my team. So again, as an example, these are 4 questions that I am asking my team pertaining to this product. I get to define number one, how many questions I'm asking. I can ask as many questions as I need. I can capture dates, I can capture words, I can capture numbers, whatever specifications I need to capture as part of this quality check can be captured. And then it's tied down to the specific lot number. So then that information from an audit trail, from a history standpoint, will remain with that lot number. Now that I have answered these questions, this product, which was sitting in queue status, which was quarantine status, I will now say this is actually accepted, and then it will get accepted. It will be ready for delivery once I've moved it to A status because it passed all the answers that I identified. Now, again, this is one example of deploying quality control for a finished product. But again, same thing from the purchasing side. I get to define what questions I am asking for which specific product. I can also, based on these responses that my team is answering, I can also have these answers auto-populate in a C of A document, which will then be shared upon delivery with my customer. Again, all of that can be automated as well. We also have the ability to have customer specific C of A documents. And if we do need to track multiple samples, let's say this was one sample we tracked for this entire lot, right? Let's say after 1 hour, I need to test some more products. I can again test in, add in those results, and add in as many samples as needed. And each of those samples will have its own set of results, its own set of answers. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is our R&D sandbox environment. Now, this is a sandbox environment that is available for my team to develop new formulas for chemicals. So what that means is over here, I've identified I'm creating a new paint acrylic gloss. I've given it a product ID. If I am preparing this for a specific customer, I can add that in here. It doesn't have to be customer specific. I can tie in approval details. Now, from a planning standpoint, I do have the ability to add components that will be required to produce this product. So you will notice over here, this table displays all the ingredients that are needed to produce this product. Now, these ingredients, you will notice we have a bunch of types. So we can add in text lines as well. So some text that I need to communicate as part of this process. I have added some normal components. So these are SKUs that exist in my system. As an example, the preservative, which is RM501, exists in my system. I do also have the ability to add in products over here that do not exist in my system. So they do not have to be part of my Sage X3 SKU list. Only from an R&D standpoint, I can add in products up here as well. We can add in costing lines. We can add in byproducts. All of that can be added in with its linked quantities, with its scrap percentages, and with its costing details as well. What that does is it basically gives me a summary of this product and then gives me a cost, which now I can use for quotation standpoints and from a planning standpoint, also from an R&D standpoint. I can keep playing around with this formula and with this list of ingredients. I can make multiple versions of this formula as well. So one formula can have certain specifications, the other one can have other specifications. I'm also adding a bunch of calculations for this product. As you can see, these are a few metrics that I'm calculating for this product. I've also identified a few specifications that need to be met. So these are 4 specifications that I've identified and what I am looking at from in terms of an answer. If I need to add in instructions, I can add those in. I've also added in a sample C of A, highlighted hazards, hazard categories. Again, what this allows me to do from a regulatory standpoint is by identifying the chemicals involved, the hazards involved, it gives me the ability to automatically generate a quote from here, understand costs from here, generate an SDS sheet from here as well. So all of that can be done from this R&D screen. Now, this is not hitting my main X3 screen until I decide that it should hit that screen. Once I have completed all my revisions of this R&D screen, I am happy playing around with the ingredients, with the formula. I can simply hit this publish to product, and what that would do is automatically publish this product in my SKU Sage X3 list. I can also publish BOM. What publish BOM will do is it'll take this entire recipe, take all the ingredients, and then it will create a recipe for me within the system that will basically deliver and produce this manufactured good based on these component lists. So again, what this does is allows me to have formula versions. I can compare formulas. I can generate an SDS sheet from an R&D costing standpoint. The next thing we want to highlight is our non-conformance. We do have the ability to track non-conformance and CAPA reports within the system as well. So in terms of tracking those corrective and preventive action reports, add in images, you can assign tasks to team members where they will get notifications to carry out those tasks and complete a CAPA report as necessary. Again, very important from a QMS standpoint, from a regulatory and compliance standpoint. We do also have an inbuilt CRM module. that is available to use as part of the standard out of the box functionality, no additional license, a project management module, as well as a preventive maintenance module for that equipment. Again, we know your chemical business can be capital intensive, which is why we do have a preventive equipment maintenance to tackle those scheduled, unscheduled maintenance needs. All right. With that said, from a chemical business standpoint, I do want to summarize some of the things we went over. We did go over supply chain optimization, which basically automates your supply chain process by leveraging an MRP tool. Sage X3 does help you manage your chemical business from start to end. So all the way from CRM, order to cash, procure to pay, onto your finance, your accounting, all of that cycle within one database. From a lot traceability, again, we did talk about being compliant in terms of SDSs, GHS compliance, maintaining CAS numbers, generating labels as required. All of that can be managed within the system as well. The last thing I do want to highlight before I conclude the demonstration is our organizational chart. So as you can see on your screen right now, the organizational chart configured in our system is Sage X3 is a multi-country, multi-site, multi-legislation supported product. So what that means is if your organization works with multiple currencies in multiple countries, or even in the same country with multiple sites and multiple companies, all of that can be tackled within one organizational hierarchy within the system. In this case, as you can see, we have a USA legislation, we have a UK legislation. Each of these legislations have different companies. Each of them have different sites and different warehouses. So again, this is an example of how we can configure an organizational chart in terms of leveraging data within X3 in order to manage those larger global organizations as well, or if you're an organization in one country with multiple sites as well. We can tackle all those needs within one platform. With that said, that does conclude the list of topics that I had prepared. Feel free to type in any questions that you may have. We will be jumping into those in just a minute here. Yeah, I see some questions coming in, so keep typing those in. I will get to those in just a second. Can formulas be entered by weight percentage of each raw material? Yes, absolutely, Jerry. So that is a question. Can formulas be entered by weight percent of each raw material? The answer is yes. You get to define how you want to input your raw materials. It can be in eaches, it can be in percentages, or it can be another unit of measure for that product. You get to define how you enter that information. The next question, I arrived late. Was there coverage of generating SDS documentation? Yes, absolutely. We did cover SDS in detail. Uh, you do have the ability not only to generate an SDS document, so the system is tracking all the details required to generate that SDS document, but you can also have multiple SDS documents for a specific product. You can decide which one is obsolete, which one is active. So not only can you generate SDS documents, you can also manage them from the system, and automatically, if they need to be shared, you can share them with your team as well, or externally with customers. We can set up a workflow to share those documents externally as needed as well. All right. Any other questions? All right. If you do have questions, continue typing them in. I am going to share some additional information, but if you do have questions, continue adding those in that questions box. We hope you found today's session informative and educational. For future next gen ERP and other educational sessions, visit our website under netatwork.com/webinars. I do see there is another question pop in. Do you support USA, Canada, and EU formats? Yes, we do support European, Canadian, and European legislation, South American legislation as well, and any other legislation that you may require should most likely be supported. All right, so again, there is an extended library of content on our website to assist you in your educational and selection process. Of course, if you would like to speak to someone, contact us directly via email or phone. And current clients, feel free to contact your account manager. I'm going to hang around here for any other questions that pop through. If you don't have any other questions, that's all the content we had for you today. Thank you for joining us and have a great rest of the day.